Alright, so balancing finance and creativity. This is something that I think anyone who's pursuing a career in art has to think about really seriously. And I wish I'd thought about it more. I wish I'd actually kind of given it a more detailed analysis, because I didn't really understand, what it would be like. And there's a weird balance, because the more professional work you do, the more time you spend at your day job or doing other things to make money, or the more of a demanding day job that you have, in theory, the more money you'll make, and so you have more money to put into your art, but you'll also have less time and less focus, probably, especially if it's a very demanding job and it's a job where you have to think about it a lot, and you have to stay focused on it. It's going to be a lot harder to do what you need to do. And already, even if you had a completely clear schedule and you didn't have to have a day job, and maybe some people don't, which is good, for them, but if you and at times I haven't had to have one, I've been quite lucky as well sometimes, but even if you didn't have to have one, you would still probably you'd still probably struggle to meet your own ambitions. Like, you'd still probably feel like there weren't enough hours in the day to do all the things that you want to do. That is, if you're pursuing a career in art. So a job that pays you like 30k, it's that's not gonna, like, that money's not going to be much use if you can't really do anything with your time. So I don't think anyone could tell you like how you should balance this, because I think for some people it might be better to focus more on earning money at their day job and then sort of sacrificing a bit of time, and for other people I think it's probably the other way around. It depends on what you're doing, and you can probably figure that out for yourself. But I think the main thing is that it's a really, really important thing to think about. I still don't know. There are certain things I still don't know if I got right or not. I tended to go for menial jobs where I could think, or where I could listen to music or podcasts while I was working, so that I was still kind of engaged with things that were relevant to me and the things I wanted to do. But they didn't pay very well, those jobs. It was either like gardening or like just shitty temp jobs, or like cleaning jobs and things like that. And it was really, really good in the sense that I used to spend like 8 hours a day listening to podcasts or music and just absorbing so much good content. But I earned very little from it, so it wasn't enough to kind of finance anything. And then when I kind of started trying out other jobs that paid a little bit more and had commission and things, but were a little bit more required a little bit more of your focus, I found it like very difficult to remain in a good space and to not be tired all the time. So I just thought like a job where I'm on the phone all day. I don't know. I think some people just cut off different things, but I know that. Actually, I remember once when I was younger, when I was pretty young. I was like 19 or something, and I went for a trial day for this office job. I don't even remember what the company was. It was something vaguely connected to letting agencies or property or something. And they had this small office, and they gave me this list of numbers to cold call. And I just been again like doing like things like gardening, and I'd never done like a phone job, and I hated it so much. Like, I started doing it. I remember within like 5 minutes, probably less, within like 2 minutes of having the phone in my hand and looking at this sheet, I was just like, man, this is going to be bad. Like ringing people up. Because I used to just smoke so much weed at the time, and I was like really socially uncomfortable. And I just wasn't cut out for stuff like that. And I remember doing it for like 5 or 10 minutes, and then I was like, I'm just gonna go outside real quick, just got to have a smoke or something. I made some excuse. I said, I think I said I had to make a phone call, I had to ring someone, and I went outside and just basically ran away. It was so weird. I didn't know how to tell the people. I didn't know how to say, like, you know, I've immediately realised that this is not for me, and I'd rather fucking work in a kitchen or be a cleaner. So I just ran away. But yeah, those types of jobs, like as soon as I started, you know, going for jobs like that, I kind of realised that I wasn't going to be able to think while I was doing them, and that would be, you know, not worth the extra money. But at the same time, and I've gone into sort of doing different things now for a living, various different things over the last few years, but I wish I'd thought a little more. I mean, I kind of did, you know, I wanted to invest at the time and I wanted to save money and stuff, but I just never really had enough to do that, and sometimes other things got in the way and stuff. But I think, yeah, in a way it was really good to have those jobs where I was able to keep my mind active while I was doing them and like think about music and stuff. But if it's worth considering that you will probably need a lot of money, in particular in music. I don't know exactly about in other fields, but I'm sure it's similar. But in music, I feel like nowadays you will need a lot of money to succeed realistically, unless you're very lucky or you know loads of people and you're very good socially, and you know something. If maybe you know there's something you have that sort of might mean you don't need as much money. But really, I feel like anyone who's trying to succeed independently is going to need a shitload of money to even achieve a small level of success. Because I'm in a weird position with it now where I sort of to make enough money to make substantial investments, I need to kind of more or less stop what I'm doing with music and kind of focus on that for a while, and then I wouldn't have anything to invest in because I wouldn't have any. So I'm kind of doing this horrible balance where I'm like not really focusing on work enough to make a substantial amount of money, and then also though not being able to fully focus on music. And I can never really think about buying things like Instagram ads and shit, and I mean I don't know how useful those are anyway, but I can never really think too much about paying for things like that. And I think that's just the tip of the iceberg. I think you need a huge amount of investment, putting aside even just production stuff, you know, like getting good videos done and things. To get written about in a magazine, I'm sure you have to pay because, well, it's obvious, because if you go on like Pitchfork and I don't know, all the other similar ones, they you'll see when you go on them, like, because I go on them to, you know, look for names of people to send my stuff to, and you'll see when you go on them, there's certain artists who, like, oh, coincidentally they're written about by all the major publications, and they're all kind of they're all writing about it from an angle of like, this is an indie artist, or this is like someone who's kind of just like happens to be emerging organically. And it seems strange that they have teams of people who, you know, scour for music on the internet, apparently, and they all come up with the same things, and they're artists that people don't seem to even like that much. So obviously that is another thing where you kind of need to go for a PR company and whatever, and someone who actually, has an in with those publications, and then I think you just have to pay them for the most part. I think there are some exceptions to that, but yeah, I think from that to adverts to everything else, too many things to name, I think you just need a lot of money. So yeah, even if you're like I was when I was younger, and you're like, oh, fuck all that bullshit, I don't want to focus on the business side of things, I'm an artist and blah blah blah, you should think about it a lot. It's one thing that absolutely you need to, you can't just figure it out on the spot, but you need to start thinking long term about it if you're not already, because I think it's, for me personally, it's like the biggest, I think pretty much the biggest kind of problem I face, or the balance that I'm constantly trying to achieve. And yeah, so it's something that requires a lot of thought, which I've said about 10 times.